And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckhouse here with the Man Hour. Be sure to manhourradio.com. Check out the merchandise page or check out the blog section as well. But most importantly, if you're watching us over here at facebook.com or youtube.com, hit the like button and share this with a couple friends as well, because sharing is caring at the end of the day. This is live, raw, uncut NFL talk every Monday through Friday, 2:30 East Coast time, right here on said platform. Excuse me. If you're going to miss any part of the show whatsoever, you can check it out on podcast form. You can check us out over on Spotify. Words are tough today. Check it out on Spotify. Shortly after the show, about 4:30 East Coast time, bada bing, bada boom, it is up there. It is live, raw, and uncut. But, if you guys would be most inclined, subscribe to the channel. Become a pigskin pundit. Get yourself some free merch. Get yourself unlimited access to any NFL game that you want. But check out for the pre-show or after show or some film breakdown, because we do it all, we do it all, we do it all. But today, it is Thursday, guys. August 1st, Hall of Fame game is here. We got the Houston Texans taking on the Chicago Bears. We are going to continue our trek through the AFC North and continue our talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. The mighty, mighty, mighty Pittsburgh Steelers. We've already talked about the Ravens. We've already talked about the Browns. And we've already talked about the Bengals as well. Steelers are the only one left. And quite frankly, I think they're going to be a very, very, very good team. But Jim Powell, speaking of pigskin pundits, the CFO of the pigskin pundits, Mr. Jim Powell himself, give the guy his dues or recognition. This man started pigskin pundits. He says squeakquels are a decade away. Huge conflict at quarterback. One of them will not be there. We're going to talk about their quarterback controversy coming up here very, very soon. About 15 minutes about the Pittsburgh Steelers, about their quarterback potential controversies. What? Controversies? Yeah, about that. But first.
And now, Mike's thoughts.
As we get closer to the Hall of Fame game, we have to start speaking about the Hall of Fame. We have to start speaking about how many of these players on Saturday are going to be the new inductees into the Hall of Fame. We got players like Devin Hester and some other names that are being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now, after that happens, the next round of 5 players do get elected into the Hall of Fame. So I was in a controversy. I was in a talk here with some other people from other podcasts. I believe it was Mike the Bears guy or something like that. Obviously a Chicago Bears fan. Doesn't really know about winning, but hey, we digress from that. But we got into a conversation and said that Eli Manning will not be a Hall of Famer. And I said Eli Manning definitely is a Hall of Famer. Eli Manning is a 100% a NFL Hall of Famer because of the 2 Super Bowl rings. Because of the Super Bowl rings aspect. What do you guys do not know about this? But every starting quarterback in the NFL that has won a Super Bowl ring while starting for said team on Super Bowl, if he has 2 rings, he is in the Hall of Fame. If he started in the Super Bowl for that team that particular year and has 2 Super Bowl rings, he is in the Hall of Fame. Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowl rings. Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. Whether you guys want to admit it or not, he's a Hall of Famer. 2 Super Bowl rings. He may have been above average, may have been below average, but he was always consistent to 2 Super Bowl rings. Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. Get mad, get all you want, but the truth of the matter is he's going to the Hall of Fame. Those are my thoughts. All right, guys, so let me know down in the comments below. Do you guys think Eli Manning should become a Hall of Fame quarterback? Is he a Hall of Famer? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your valid opinions. Because don't just say yes or just say no. Give me some reasons why. Why do you guys think Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer? Well, we got Danny Hawker in the chat. He says, our brawl that happened yesterday made me want it all. Go Steelers, go Steelers, go Steelers. Danny Don Hawker, I know you a Steelers fan. I know you love you some Pittsburgh Steelers. By the way, thank you for being an anniversary follower. I see that number 1 there, man. A year strong. Let's go, baby. But I'm going to tell you something different about that brawl. Here in about 10 minutes, when we talk about potential starting quarterbacks for the Pittsburgh Steelers moving into this 2024 NFL season, let me talk to you about that brawl. We'll see there. We'll see it. Got my man Mark D in the chat as well. He says, what up? Join NFL experts here. Got my man Casey Morgan in the chat as well. He beat Tom Brady twice for his rings. That is all you need. In my opinion, he says. In my opinion, all you need. Beat Tom Brady twice. Play those dollar bills, yo. Put some hardware on the hand. He's in. James Frank says, Eli beat Brady twice. Give that man a jacket. Woo! Get that man fitted. When I was in this conversation with the Bears man, I think it's Mike the Bears man. I think that's what his show was called. He said, well, I said to him, I think the Hall of Fame's kind of starting to get watered down a little bit. He's like, what do you mean watered down? Y'all letting Devin Hester in. The Hall of Fame's letting Devin Hester in. What has he done? He had a couple years of spectacular kickoff returns. Awesome. What did he do the rest of his career? Watered down. Does Devin Hester deserve it in the Hall of Fame? I'm going to say no. I think that was just a pity interest in there, right? I think that was just some pettiness, I should say, pettiness. But Hall of Fame game, guys, is tonight. We do have the Houston Texans taking on the Chicago Bears, and this is a preseason game that we're not going to see a lot out of, right? This is a preseason game that could be like, football's on TV. There's some betting happening, but is it really football? Is it really football? It is preseason. It is Hall of Fame game. We won't be seeing Stephon Diggs out there. We won't be seeing CJ Stroud out there. We won't be seeing Joe Mixon out there. We won't be seeing Caleb Williams out there. We won't be seeing DJ Moore out there. But what we will be seeing out there is a lot of backups. A lot of backups that are fighting for roster positions for these two said teams. So when we look at this Hall of Fame game, and I said, it's football, but whoever, right? Yada, yada, yada. What are we going to watch for, right? In this game, what do we want to watch for? What do we want to keep an eye on? You guys, you want to keep an eye on the quarterback position. You want to keep an eye on the quarterback position for both teams. You want to see who starts this particular game. Who starts this game will probably by default be the backup quarterback moving forward. For the Houston Texans, is it Davis Mills? Is it Case Keenum? Is it Tim Boyle, right? Whoever that backup quarterback is, get behind that man and hope he does well. For the Chicago Bears, is it going to be Taysom Bagent? Is he going to ball out again like he did a couple games last season? What we want to watch for in this game is the backup quarterback play. Why? Because if you are a pigskin pundit, we kind of discussed this a little bit on my way home from work. We basically said that, or I said that 28 teams last season started a backup quarterback. 28 teams started a backup quarterback last season. I looked it up. Of those 28 teams, 25 of the backups played more than one game. 2, 3, 4, etc. 1.5. More than one, right? They played 5 total quarters. Backup quarterback is a very valuable position in the NFL right now. If God forbid CJ Stroud goes down this season, the Houston Texans have Super Bowl aspirations. They have AFC South Championship. They have AFC Championship. All in their hindsights. They have a team built to make a run. CJ Stroud goes down. Can Case Keenum step up and carry the load? Can Davis Mills step up and carry the load? That is what we want to watch for in this game. Same thing on the Chicago Bears side. Obviously, the Chicago Bears have won 5 straight championships without Caleb Williams stepping a foot on the field. Obviously, the Chicago Bears have one of the best defenses in the NFL. From week 9 till week 18 last season, they were the number 2 ranked defense in the NFL. Not many people watched them because the Bears sucked at that particular point of the season. They got hot. The defense made some dollar bills, y'all, adding a sweat, right? The Chicago Bears, quality guys, have a really, really good team. But if Caleb Williams go down, how can Tyson Bagent step up? How can Austin Reed step up? How can Brett Ripon step up? Can they carry the load? Can there be a stopgap fill guy for Caleb Williams if he were to go down? Those are all things that we are watching for in this game. For first half, how can the backup quarterbacks perform? Also, I want to see how the backup running backs do. Yes, we know in Chicago, DeAndre Swift is the man. Yes, in Houston, we know that Dameon Pierce and Joe Mixon is the man. Right now in the NFL landscape, guys, we're in a two-back system. There are probably only two running backs right now in the NFL that don't need that second guy. One is Saquon Barkley, the other one's CMC. Everybody else, two-back system, the way of the Rourkes, right? For the Chicago Bears, can Herbert step up and be that number 2 punch for the Chicago Bears? Yes, I know he has done it in the past, but DeAndre Swift is the guy. Can he understand his role? Joe Mixon, Dameon Pierce should be a great 1-2 punch, but how are they going to gel? How are they going to mix in? That's what we're going to watch in this game. That is what we're going to watch in this game. So I got to ask you guys this question. Obviously, we want to watch some football. Obviously, we want to root for our teams, whether it's the Houston Texans or the Bears, or root for a sad team to lose. Hopefully the Houston Texans get their dick stomped in the dirt, whatever you want to hope for. What are you guys hoping for? What are you guys looking for in this game? Are you betting on this game? That's the real question. I saw the spreads -2 points in Chicago Bears' favor. Are you going to put $10 on the Chicago Bears tonight or the Houston Texans? Spoiler alert, if you are betting on preseason games, you have a problem. I just want to put that out there. You're betting on preseason games, you have a problem. I don't care if it's a part of a parlay or not. Preseason games is total shot in the dark, total luck. Total luck. The Bears is in the chat. He says yes. The Bears. Yes. We're watching for the Bears. Watching for the Bears, right? Casey Morgan says the only thing I would want out to watch of is how Caleb Williams would handle playing in the NFL. But we're not getting that. We are going to get that 3 other games. Chicago Bears fans, Houston Texans fans, NFL fans. We are going to see Caleb Williams in a preseason game. The Houston Texans and the Chicago Bears are playing in a Hall of Fame game. They still have 3 more preseason games they got to play. They still have joint practices. I believe the Bears have joint practice on Sunday. There's still a lot of training camp to see Caleb Williams and CJ Stroud strap it up this season. Still a lot. James says, well, they said CMC is going to get less carries this year, so they're going to have a 2-back system in San Francisco as well. True. Or Debo is going to carry the ball more. But yes, even CMC now is starting to slow down a little bit, and the 49ers are seeing the value of a 2-back system. However, if you're paying that kind of money to CMC and Saquon, they better be toting the rock, and they better be toting it a lot. Let's just be flat honest. They should be toting that rock a lot. a lot. Casey says, here's the biggest question. What is the point of the Hall of Fame game? That is a great question. I got to propose it to everybody out in the chat here. YouTube.com, Facebook.com, wherever you're listening to us, you can tweet at me at manhour_buck or hit us up on the Facebook page at facebook.com/manhour. What do you guys think the point is of the Hall of Fame game? Me personally, if you think about the Hall of Fame game, every freaking year at this stadium, something goes wrong. Whether it's the lights going out, right? Whether it's the turf being shitty, whether it's the stadium like falling in on itself. Basically, I think the Hall of Fame game is just satire at this point. Like, how bad can Canton, Ohio's high school football field, or I assume it's a high school football field, how bad can they mess up this season? Like, that to me, that's kind of what it comes down to, is how bad can they mess up this game this time? Only half the lights come on. The There's potholes in the end zone. It's something. But beyond the extra game, beyond us getting excited for the ceremony to come Saturday, making it a whole week-long spectacular, having people fly into Canton, Ohio, watching the football game, staying the night Thursday, spending some time in Canton on Friday, maybe going to the Hall of Fame, Saturday listening to the speeches. Beyond making it a week-long spectacle thing, I think the Hall of Fame game is a complete waste of time. I'm going to be flat honest. I think it's a complete waste of time for average fans, for fans in general. Now, for players on said team, for the Bears and the Texans, if you are fighting for a camp spot, if you are the third string center and you haven't been getting very, very many camp reps, and then you come out in this Hall of Fame game because you were going to play because you're probably going to be cut the next week, and you ball out, all power to you, right? That is more reps for you. So basically, to answer the question, the point of the Hall of Fame game is for free agent players, low draft pick players to make their mark. For players that are on the outside looking in, make your mark. There are sometimes in practice, right? I have a couple of high school kids right now in practice. They are just not very good. I can speak that, and I told them that. In practice, you all suck. If I didn't know how you balled in a game, you would never see the light of day. Some people just do not have the energy, the passion, or the know-how to step up in practice and ball out. I was the same way. In high school, practice, that is for the birds. Game time come, bada bing, bada doom, I'm balling out. College, had to work a little harder, right? But once the lights came on, the visors came on, the socks came on, it was like a different gear. Now, I understand that is probably why I never made it to the highest level. That's probably why I did not have a longer career in Canada. That is probably why I did not have a longer career on the indoor field. Was because my practice work ethic was shit. Get some reps in the game, I guess. The Bear says, I think Williams will be in the Bills game. He better be in the Bills game. Because that is game number 1. That's actually week 1, right? That's next Saturday, August 10th. He better be playing the Bills game. You will see the starters play in the Bills game for about a series, maybe 2. Second game, you'll probably see him most of the first half, maybe going into the second half. Third game, a couple series. Bada bing, bada boom, it is over. But yeah. James Frank says, so Debo will just get hurt quicker. Not wrong, I guess. Not wrong. Not wrong. James says, the point of the Hall of Fame game is a sideshow into the induction ceremony. Exactly. It is kind of like when you go to a Potawatomi County Fair. Shout out to Kansas, to my hometown, baby. Right? The point is to go to the 4-H fair, to see the cows, to see the horses, to go see the rodeo, whatever. The sideshow is a softball tournament. But that's why we there is to see the softball tournament, to play in the softball tournament. But really, the main show is the 4-H fair, right? I get it. New York Football Jets. I had the video lined up, but it wouldn't let me play it. It kept blocking it. Because I did a little test stream before the show, see if it was going to get copyrighted. It copyrighted it and struck it down. But the New York Football Jets have got some inner fighting going on. Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers have been shown back-to-back days arguing with each other about routes, about checkdowns, about mixing up, right? There's some inner tension going on with the New York Football Jets right now. Now, there is such thing as good fighting and bad fighting. It was Hawker, right? Danny Hawker. He said he loved the Pittsburgh Steelers fight earlier today. It was actually yesterday. They loved that fight. We're going to talk about that fight, but that was a good fight. This fight between Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson is a bad fight. This fighting between Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson for the New York Football Jets Is inner fighting. It's not brotherly love. It is basically saying, hey, do your job. I am doing my job. F you, F you. Of course, you're going to downplay it. Of course, you're going to be like, you guys are blowing too much into it. No. As a football coach, as a football player, we have seen this time and time again. We have seen this time and time again. When a quarterback expects something to be done this way, a veteran, a guy that's been crafting this offensive of scheme for many, many years, and then a new guy's like, nah, this is not the way. This is the way I do it. Do you guys remember, I don't know, what was like early 2004, 2006 maybe, ESPN had a thing called, it was actually called Pizza, had a thing called New School versus Old School. This was when Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith started the debate show thing. It started out like at 1st and 10, I think it was, and then it went into New School versus Old School, and then of course it evolved into first take and Undisputed and whatever, right? Basically, this is what we're seeing in New York right now. We are seeing old school Aaron Rodgers expecting it to be done this way. We are seeing new school Garrett Wilson like, nah, we doing it this way, right? This is going to cause controversy down the road. Just like Stephen A. and Skip Bayless eventually broke up. Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp broke up. New school versus old school. This is going to cause a rift in the New York Jets locker room. Now, is it going to show his very head right off the bat? Absolutely not. It will not show his very head right off the bat. But you lose 2 games in a row early. You lose 3 games in a row early. Finger pointing is going to start happening. Aaron Rodgers is going to get a microphone in his face. He's going to spew the wrong thing. Garrett Wilson is going to get pissed off. Bada bing, bada boom. Who do you cut at that point? Do you cut a future Hall of Famer, potentially the greatest quarterback of all time, or a receiver that's still up and coming in as well, not even in his prime yet? The point of the matter is, guys, Garrett Wilson, I'm pointing the blame to you. Garrett Wilson, this inner fighting between you and Aaron Rodgers, I'm pointing the finger at you. I'm pointing the finger at that generation in general. I coach 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. None of them have ever admitted they are wrong. None of them have ever said, you know what, my bad. We're seeing this in Garrett Wilson right now. Aaron Rodgers wants you to run the route this way or this way, right? Hey, when you see this, I want you to do this. No, man, I do it this way. Not like, okay, let's compromise, let's work it out. And if you see the video, you see in Aaron Rodgers' face, he is clearly frustrated. And like, he's like, haha, you know what, man? I got you, right? And Garrett was like, nah, fuck you, dog, right? It is totally different. This is going to cause a big rift in the New York Jets moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, Matthew Judon is back at work. Matthew Judon has been doing a hold-in. The hold-in is the cool thing to do now, apparently. But he actually had a great talk with the upper management with the New England Patriots and is back on the practice field. And he says he had a great conversation with the New England Patriots the other day. So when we look at the New England Patriots, we think the Patriots are going to be a pretty below-average team. Many people in the chat that I see on a regular basis, the everydayers, the pigskin pundits, you guys having that 2, 3, potentially 4 wins. I'm a little bit higher on them. I have them at 6 wins, but still a losing season, still a down season to what New England is expecting. The reason that I have them at 6 wins is because of a player like Matthew Judon. It's because of their defense. I think their defense will ultimately carry them to at least 4 wins this season. So I got to ask the question. Let me propose this question to all you haters of New England or lovers, NFL fans, pigskin pundits. If Matthew Judon does not play for the New England Patriots this season over a contract dispute, then what? If Matthew Judon does not step on the field week number 1 for the New England Patriots, then what? what is going to happen if we don't see him? Me personally, I think the Patriots are now a 2-win team. If Matthew Judon is not on the field come week 1, granted, I think they're going to lose their first 6 games of the season anyways, him not being on the field puts a lot of pressure on Christian Gonzalez. Him not being on the field puts a lot of pressure on Kyle Duggar. Him not being on the field puts a lot of pressure on Marcus Jones. That secondary. Matthew Judon's a beast, guys. We had to talk about Matthew Judon with names like TJ Watt, like names like Myles Garrett, like names like Joey and Nick Bosa's. Matthew Judon is a top 10, top 5 walk-up outside linebacker / defensive end. He is that guy. He is that dude. There's a reason why the Patriots got him. There's a reason why the Patriots said, come on over, man. There's a reason why he wants to get paid. Because he knows he's worth it. But what do you guys think? If Matthew Judon does not step on the field for the New England Patriots come week 1, then what? I think it's a rest for the Baspy. Definitely 0-6 start. Definitely a long, long season. But guys, that is it for the NFL news for the day. Let's jump into some Pittsburgh Steelers talk. We have been working our way through the whole NFL landscape. We've started in the East. We went to the South. We tickled in the West. We tickled in the North. And now we're in the AFC North. We've talked about the Ravens, Browns, and Bengals all week long. But today we're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. But before we go forward, we have to look back. We have to look back at the Pittsburgh Steelers playoff run from last season. In 2023, they had quarterback hell. They were a team that did not break 300 yards in what was like 15 or 16 straight games. They were just not a very good, or it was 400 yards. They were just not a very good offense. But somehow, some way, they kept in there. They kind of snuck on the radar, finished the season at 10-7, winning three of their last 4 with wins over the Bengals, Seahawks, and Baltimore, with Mason Rudolph, Mitchell Trubisky, and Kenny Pickett all at the helm. They ultimately did have a wild card game versus the Buffalo Bills, number 2 seeded Buffalo Bills, and actually got thrashed 31-17. This offseason, they said, see you later, Mitchell Trubisky. See you later, Kenny Pickett. See you later, Mason Rudolph. Let's trade for Justin Fields. Let's bring in Russell Wilson on a $1 million deal. The new look Pittsburgh Steelers guys in 2024 could make a lot of noise. Could make a lot of noise. But with all their controversy, all the quarterbacks are gone. Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, all gone. Insert Justin Fields and Russ Wilson. All indications, all offseason thinks that Russell Wilson is going to be the starter. All indications like Russ is the man, Russ is the man, Russ is the man. Russ hurts his calf, strains his calf of doing some type of running drill. It's like a conditioning test to see where you're at. Strain his calf before practice even started. First 4 days of practice, no Russ in sight. Insert Justin Fields. Insert Justin Fields into the number 1. Justin Fields is looking like a top draft pick that he was. Justin Fields is looking like what he did in Ohio State. Justin Fields is looking like a freaking good-ass quarterback right now. However, biggest flaw with Justin Fields is he has great highs, but then he turns around the next day and has great lows. So when we look at the Pittsburgh Steelers guys moving forward, who do we think the quarterback is going to be in 2024? Who do we think week 1 NFL starting quarterback is going to be? Right now, Russell Wilson is still running with the 2s. Hell, Russell Wilson didn't even play with the number 1s at all during 11-on-11 in the scrimmage yesterday. Justin Fields did. Not only did Justin Fields compete, putting the ball where it goes, nice handoffs, did a nice quarterback play action draw in for a tutty. The offensive line is fighting for Justin Fields. Justin Fields got shoved in the back by Patrick Queen, I think it was. And here comes the lineman, and it's a big team brawl. They are fighting for Justin Fields. Guys, I think Justin Fields is going to be the week 1 starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Justin Fields is the future in Pittsburgh. I think the offense likes the offensive coordinator on Arthur Brown likes him. They want to run the ball. They want to be nasty. Justin Fields can run those play action or those RPOs. He can scramble. He can get out of the pocket. Plus, he has a big arm to get it down to George Pickens, Deontay Johnson. Justin Fields, I think, guys, is going to be a week 1 starter. Week 1 starter goes to Justin Fields. And Casey Morgan says, isn't he suffering from a cold? All I've seen is how good Fields is doing versus Wilson. Russell Wilson, I have not heard, is suffering from a cold. From everything that I've read, everything that I've seen, it's a strained calf. He is getting treatment during during scrimmages on his calf. He's consistently stretching it out. I mean, he could be sick, but that was also Lamar Jackson's always sick during training camp. So hopefully the sickness did not go across the state and from Ohio to Pennsylvania. I don't know where I'm going with that, but yeah, I don't think Russ Wilson is sick. I just think he has a strained calf. James Frank says Justin will be a starter at some point. Like you said the other day, just start him. So what I said the other day is this right here. We talked about Russell Wilson and his calf injury. I believe it was Monday or Tuesday. We talked about it. James says Russell doesn't make it to week 6. Everybody in the chat, Russ is only going to start 4 games. Russ is only going to start 5 games. Russ is only going to start 6 games. I think 6 was the tops that you guys all said. And I said, if we all believe that, just start Justin Fields week 1. Put his ass in there and let him start. Let him eat. James, correct me if I'm wrong. James Chamberlain, didn't you say that the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to have a total of 8 losses and Russ was going to have 4 of them? If Justin Fields is only going to lose 4 games, put his ass in there. 13-4 is pretty nice, baby. Pretty nice. Casey says game 3 or games 4, Fields will start and Wilson will most likely be shipped to another team. The Broncos can pay him to be a backup there. When we look at the Pittsburgh Steelers schedule, guys, 3 of their first 4 games are on the road. I believe their only home game is versus the Indianapolis Colts, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look it up to make sure. No, the Chargers. I'm sorry. So they play the Falcons, Broncos, and Colts all on the road the first 4 weeks, and then the Chargers are at home week 3. So if a quarterback change is going to happen, it would be ideal to do it during a bye week. The bye week for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season is week 9. However, we've all heard it. They've said it many, many times on every sports media outlet that you have potentially could have seen, heard, or done, right? The Pittsburgh Steelers have the hardest back-end schedule of all of NFL. They play all their division games. They play the Kansas City Chiefs like on a Wednesday, right? They have a tough last 8 games of the season. So if the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to make the playoffs, like that's the question of the day, are the Pittsburgh Steelers going to make the playoffs? If they're going to make the playoffs, they have to win at least half of their games, at least 5 of their 10 games in the first half of the season versus the Jets, versus the Raiders, Cowboys, Colts, somebody, Chargers, Broncos, Falcons. They have to win 5 of those games, right? So if you're going to bench Russ by week 4, week 5, week 6, just start Justin Fields. Start him week 1. Justin Fields has the most upside. He is younger. I think he's more athletic right now. He has pretty good football IQ. You have Russ as a backup, even better IQ. You have so much talent in that room. It is stupid. Justin Fields has the most upside, though. Most upside. John Switcher's in the chat. What's up, John? He says George Pickens is a top 10 receiver in the entire NFL with either quarterback. How about this, John? I'll do you one better. If Justin Fields is starting all season long, George Pickens is a top 5 receiver in the NFL. There's a reason why the Pittsburgh Steelers traded for Justin Fields. I think it was like seventh round draft pick. But either way, they traded for him. They picked up Russ off of the street. He was cut. Picked him up off the street. They went out and traded actively for Justin Fields. They wanted an open quarterback competition between a guy they're paying $1 million and a guy they gave a seventh round draft pick for. Battle out. Right now, Justin Fields, to me, is on top. Teammates are rallying around him. Teammates are fighting for him. He is having really good back-to-back practices. Now, Saturday or tomorrow, they have another padded practice, August 2nd. It could all come crashing back down because we said it. Justin Fields has extreme highs, but extreme lows. He needs to find that medium ground. His ceiling can still be high, but his floor needs not to be so low. Maybe Russ can help him bring him back that up. But yes, John is correct. George Pickens is a top 10 receiver in the NFL with either quarterback, with Russ or Justin Fields. I agree. However, the Steelers are going to run the ball a lot. John also says Tomlin blew up the quarterback room to get Big Russ. He's rolling with him to a point of insanity, just like he did with Matt Canada. So Mike Tomlin blew up that quarterback room because he knew Mason Rudolph wasn't him. He knew that Kenny Pickett really wasn't cutting it. Mitchell Trubisky, call it what you call it. I think he got the short end of the stick by going to Chicago and them not signing him to a 5th year and letting him prove it, right? Put some weapons around him. But you have to understand, John, Pittsburgh Steelers picked up Russell Wilson off of the street. I believe 20 other teams passed on him. Finally came to the Pittsburgh Steelers, like, yeah, we'll take a flyer on him. They didn't trade for him. They're not paying him the same amount of money. They're paying him $1 million. Tomlin, the Pittsburgh Steelers, are not married to either quarterback, but they're married even less to Russell Wilson. At least with Justin Fields, they're paying him a little bit more. I believe it's $5 million or $6 million this season. They gave away a 7th round draft pick for him. So they're a little bit more invested in Justin Fields. So to say that he is going to roll with him to the point of insanity, just like he did with Matt Canada, I think that is completely false. I think we're seeing the Pittsburgh Steelers turn over a new leaf this offseason. I think we're seeing Mike Tomlin do something different. Mike Tomlin has been the staple of an average coach, right? Never a losing season in Pittsburgh. What they've done is they've always built through the draft and built within, right? We're going to draft this guy, mold him into what he wants and see where he is. This is the first offseason that I can remember where the Pittsburgh Steelers were active in the free agency realm. Picking up Patrick Queen, a big name guy, right? Getting Justin Fields. This is the first time they're picking and choosing who they want to bring to their team. I think Mike Tomlin saw the writing on the wall last season, and if he does not have a playoff win this season, he could see himself out the door. All you Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you should know it. How long has it been since the Steelers have won a playoff game? Since what, like 2012 or something? Over 10 years? Yeah, you guys make it. Yeah, you're winning a winning team year after year, right? What happened? But just getting there is not good enough anymore. Just being a playoff team is not good enough anymore. It is time to put some more hardware in that trophy. It is time to go for number 7. It is time to get yourself a franchise quarterback. Mike Tomlin is a hell of a coach. Top 3 coach of all time, top 5 coach of all time. I'm just pulling numbers out of my head, but he's a top coach. Never had a losing season. We get it. But it's time to win some games, and I think Justin Fields does that best for you. Preston Stafford's in the chat. He says, who? Who is the new starter? Justin Fields is the new starter, baby. Justin Fields, baby. Casey says, personally, I think the Steelers were desperate for a QB, and that's why they took Wilson. Especially since the Bears took a while to decide on Fields. So, Casey, I agree with you to an extent. Why I agree with you to an extent is, yes, they were desperate to get a quarterback into the facility, right? Because I believe at that point in time, they had no quarterbacks on the roster. Kenny Pickett had already been traded. Actually, no, Kenny Pickett was still on the roster because they traded Kenny Pickett the day they got Justin Fields. So Mitchell Trubisky may have still been on the roster too. Mason Rudolph was already gone. But to say they were desperate for a QB, I don't think so. I think they were desperate to get some type of veteran leadership into that quarterback room, right? Kenny Pickett has kind of been a trial by fire, was bench/hurt toward the end of the season. Mitchell Trubisky, he'll be a good backup. He'll be a good Chase Daniels. He'll probably win 3 or 4 Super Bowl rings as being backups, whether it's for the Chiefs, for the Bills, or whoever, right? I feel that Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers were looking for that veteran leadership to bring into that quarterback room. Not to necessarily be a starter, not to necessarily, use it as trade bait or do this, or this, but to mentor Kenny Pickett. And then when Kenny Pickett got his feelings hurt when they brought Russell in, they're like, you don't want to compete for a job? See you later. Shipped him off, to Seattle, right? Insert Justin Fields. I think that's the only reason why Kenny Pickett did get shit out of town was because he was butthurt because they brought in Russ. But I agree with you to an extent. He also says, or the other idea, they grabbed Russ to teach Fields to learn for a second season vet. Everything he didn't have in Chicago. This is very, very true. James says, Pitt is the only going to throw the ball 20 times per game. It's a perfect environment for Fields to succeed. I agree. Arthur Brown is going to run the piss out of the ball. Arthur Brown and the Pittsburgh Steelers and Najee Harris are going to eat a lot. The backup running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think his name's Warren. Let me look it up. Warren. Jalen Warren. When I was looking at top running backs in the NFL, Jalen Warren fell at number 15 per CBS. Najee Harris wasn't even in the top 20. I personally think Najee Harris is a top 10 running back. Yes, the Steelers did decline his 5th-year option. We'll be talking about that in like a minute. But the fact of the matter is, I think Najee Harris and Jalen Warren are going to get 40 carries a game. They're going to eat a lot. I've said it many, many, many times. The quarterback play in Pittsburgh just has to not to suck. Just has to not to suck. Am I even saying that? It sounds freaking wrong, but that's got to be politically correct, right? They just have to not to suck. James Frank says, slow it down, baby. Slow it down, baby. You need to know your role, jabroni, says James. Myles Garrett is going to eat this season versus Pittsburgh. He's going to eat. Listen, I think we are due for a great Pittsburgh Steelers versus Cleveland Browns clash this season. I think both of these games are going to be all-time classics, right? Freaking love it. John says, Mike Tomlin took us to 15 seconds to pick Kenny Pickett. We knew what we were getting. This might be the most informed draft pick since the draft started. Then he lied to Kenny. Big Russ was only signing with the team if he was guaranteed a starter. Tomlin never called Kenny. He found out from Mason Rudolph. Kenny called Tomlin the Tuesday after Tomlin signed Russell, and Kenny asked for a trade. Kenny was butthurt because Tomlin lied to him. Tomlin blew up that quarterback room. John, you are 100% correct. You are 100% correct that Mike Tomlin did blow up the quarterback room. I will concur with that. But he did it to better the team. Kenny Pickett didn't play the last 8 games of the season. Whether it's due from being benched or injured, whatever you want to call it. He was not starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mason Rudolph ultimately won the Pittsburgh Steelers enough game to make it into the playoffs. 3rd string quarterback, I might add. Went through Kenny Pickett, went through Mitchell Trubisky, just not it. Insert Mason Rudolph, got a little swag, got hot, won, 4 of their last 7, made it into the playoffs with a 10-7 record. If you are not leading me to the playoffs, Kenny Pickett, I do not warrant your opinion, right? Meaning, I'm not going to call you like, hey, by the way, we're bringing in Russ. You're going to have open quarterback competition. Best of luck to you this offseason. I understand as a quarterback, you want to hear that. As a receiver, you want to hear that. A linebacker, you bring in somebody in to compete for my job, I would like to hear it. However, as a head coach, I am doing what's better for the team. I'm doing to win us a championship. And I do not have to tell you what I'm doing. Just like on draft night, my last thought in my mind, right? Atlanta Falcons, Kirk Cousins. Last thing in my mind is like, hey, Kurt, by the way, is it okay if we draft Michael Penix Jr.? Is that okay is that okay with you? I have 10 minutes. I'm not going to call you. Granted, offseason is a little bit different, but still. Casey says they have the defense. They just need someone to run the offense. At least a mid-level. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are those guys. Mid-level. Just don't suck, baby. That's all you got to do is just not suck. If they can do that, bada bing, bada boom, 11 wins, baby. Kenny didn't have that dog in him to compete. If you don't have that dog in you, period, I don't want you on your team. Guys, what are the Pittsburgh Steelers known for? When you think of the Pittsburgh Steelers, what do you know them as? You know them as a killer defense, steel curtain right, and run the ball down your freaking throat. And Big Ben just mowing people over, Cordell Stewart doing his thing, whatever. Hell, Terry Bradshaw doing his thing. Casey's right. Kenny Pickett just wasn't that dog. Kenny Pickett didn't bring that personality that the Pittsburgh Steelers needed. When I was prepping for today's show, watching Steelers camp, watching their practices, listening to interviews, right? There were players out there, the defensive player, the linebacker that started the fight. He said, reading between the lines, he basically said, I started that fight because I want to see what the old line had. I want to see if the old line had that dog in them. I want to see if the rookies have those dog in them. The offensive line is gnarly right now. The offensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I wouldn't want to F with them. Myles Garrett might get pancaked a couple times for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. They nasty. They hungry. The last time the Pittsburgh Steelers were a nasty dog mouth, smash mouth football team, they had Pouncey at center. That was the year that Myles Garrett smashed Mason Rudolph's head in with the helmet. Ever since then, the Pittsburgh Steelers have been soft. Let's just be honest. They've been soft. What happened after that? They drafted Kenny Pickett. Is it a coincidence you get soft when you draft a quarterback that doesn't have a dog in you? Smash mouth football is what they're known for, says James. Exactly. Run it down your throat, baby. Get some. But we've been talking about quarterback play. And let's talk about potential trade bait. We know that the Pittsburgh Steelers brought in Russell Wilson on a $1 million deal. We know that they went out and traded and have more invested in Justin Fields. I told you guys that I think personally Justin Fields should be week 1 starter. I think he has outperformed Russ. I think he gels with the team better. I think he has a little bit more grit and a little bit more it in him. So we got to ask the question. With the grit, with the it, with the potentially being a backup, does Russell Wilson generate some trade talk? Does Russell Wilson generate some potential, hey, somebody, you need a quarterback? We have Russ. What are you going to give us? Guys, I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers will trade Russell Wilson at all this season. There is absolutely no upside for them to trade Russell Wilson this season. Because the only way I could potentially see them trading is if he's a backup quarterback, which I think he will be a backup quarterback. He is more valuable to the Pittsburgh Steelers as a backup quarterback than a 6th or a 7th round pick. I would even go as far as a 5th round pick. It would have to be 4th or higher for me to even entertain the idea of trading Russ. Why? Because I'm paying him $1 million. Let me repeat that for the people for the 5th time today. I'm paying him $1 million to be a backup. Do you guys remember what I said in the opening rant? 28 teams last season started a backup quarterback. 28 teams. So if Justin Fields happens to go down for a game, happens to do this, happens to do that, insert Russell Wilson. Super Bowl winning backup quarterback? What? Slow it down, baby. Guys, remember what I said about Eli? Every quarterback that has two Super Bowl rings will be in the Hall of Fame. I think if Russ plays a couple games this season, the Pittsburgh Steelers go to the Super Bowl, they win the Super Bowl, Russell Wilson's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Wouldn't mind that having it as a backup. The Pittsburgh Steelers are in a great position. Great position to win a lot of games this season with Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. There's no reason to trade Russ, guys. No reason to trade Russ. James says, well, maybe a midseason trade if another team's desperate. Yeah, it's going to take a desperate trade. 4th, 3rd, 2nd round pick for Russ. That is what it's going to take to get Russ away from the Pittsburgh Steelers. A fourth round pick or higher. 4th round pick or higher, then I'm considering it. Because if you look at the backup quarterback situation in Pittsburgh right now, the 3rd string quarterback is by the name of Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen is their backup quarterback right now. Believe this is the same Kyle Allen that was played for Buffalo last season, I want to say. I think he also played with the Chicago Bears like a little bit as well. But Kyle Allen, like what? How about 4th string? John Rhinus Plumlee. This is the kid from UCF, a rookie they drafted this season. Actually, it was an undrafted rookie. John Plumlee. What? Like, Russ is your best backup option. Casey said, Justin Herbert is stuck in a boot for 2 weeks after suffering an injury. That's all right. That's all right, Casey. They got Jim Harbaugh in his khakis and he's taking quarterback reps. They'll be all right. And James says, technically, Rush should have 2 rings, only if they would have given the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Give it to Beast Mode and you would have won. Oh, there's a lot of dumpster fires teams with QBs this season. The Raiders? John? Jim? Where you at? The Raiders? How about another dumpster quarterback team? The New York Jets. I do know Tyrod Taylor is the backup, and if he wouldn't have had his lung punctured, he would have at least started in the Chargers for probably a season, at least. Russ to the Jets doesn't seem that bad. Russ to the Cardinals doesn't seem that bad. If Geno Smith struggles, back to the Seahawks. I know they have Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett's the backup in Seattle. Like, am I wrong? Pretty sure. I don't know. How about Russell Wilson to the Cowboys? That would be too bad. But this season, guys, I do have the Pittsburgh Steelers going 11-6. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers going 11-6, starting out the season hot. Going into the bye week, I think they'll be 7-1. I think they'll be going 7-1 going into the bye week, and then they will struggle toward the end of the season. They will only win 2 of their last 6 games with losses to the Browns, Bengals, Eagles, Ravens, and Chiefs. And ultimately getting their 11th win when they do beat the Bengals week 18. Let me know what you guys think. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be a really, really good team. This puts them at second place in the AFC North, in my opinion, behind the Baltimore Ravens sitting at 12-6. I have them sitting at 11-6, and they are a They are a 5th seed in the AFC playoffs. What do you guys think? Too high? Too low? Just right? Let me know. Until then, we'll see you next time. We out.